Welcome back to another episode of the One-on-One podcast. I am Josh. I'm in the studio with our producer slash co-host slash all of the above, Mr. Sivag. How are you?
Howdy. I'm doing good.
We also have the lovely Kathy Baker, who is joining us virtually. Kathy,
Hello.
what's happening?
Lots.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I want to hear from both of you, and the three of us have a lot to talk about, and I think we all can kind of take a breath because we do not have a guest today, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because I think the three of us are all experts in our own right, and we have a lot to talk about, and this is our 101st episode, so number 101. Kathy, we were talking off camera, and we wanted to make this be kind of like a real estate 101, if you will, for lack of other phrases, and so we've got a bunch of questions to ask each other. We're going to have some fun for a few minutes. And yeah, you guys want to just get right into it?
Yeah.
I love it.
So I'm going to start with my usual non-real estate related question just to kind of get our brains going. And then Sivag, you can fire away with everything that you have. But for you guys, and I'm actually very curious about this one. Sivag and Kathy, what is a very small win or something small in your daily life that can instantly change your mood? I mean, I can go first if you guys want me to give you guys an example. Mine for me is a giant cup of ice water. That just is like, I love water that is 33 degrees. That is just almost frozen. And that for me is an instant mood changer.
I'm going to go with, if anybody knows me well, it's going to be espresso.
Yeah, that's definitely Sivag.
Yeah.
That's an easy one.
If I don't have it, I'm angry. If I can't go to sleep without having espresso, not a plug for Sabrina Carpenter, but she's invited anytime.
What about you, Kathy?
It's funny that he said that because, and this is going to sound a little bit crazy, but it's a good cup of coffee. And I coffee at home. I don't go out and get coffee. But it's just, you can get the same coffee, brew it the same way. And some mornings, it just hits you right.
Right.
So that would be mine.
So we got two coffee drinkers and ice water. We're kind of boring people. I thought I was going to get a little bit of better answers, but...
See, but I'm room temperature water. I don't like ice water.
Oh, it's like my worst nightmare. Can't do it.
I need ice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with all the wisdom here, I mean, from here on out, it's the caffeine talking, I guess.
It is. That's
I have a couple questions to ask you guys. I have been with this company for almost 8 years. So no, my background is not in real estate, but I have been around long enough to learn from Kathy and learn from some of the greats. And I feel like I can speak to a lot of what's happening in this industry. And that's, I never thought I'd be able to say that. And so I'm excited for all three of us with our differing backgrounds to answer all of these questions that Sivag has for us.
Well, that puts me on the spot. All right, so let's jump into it because I think about 7 out of 10 listeners right now are pretending to fold laundry or driving or really interested in hearing our voices because we're good looking,
entertaining.
we're entertaining, we're smart, we're basically therapists. We're not licensed, but we're cheap. So let's get into it. And I'm probably going in with opportunity. Everything that changes, everything that evolves is opportunity. And let's go into what could be the biggest opportunity right now for real estate agents.
Kathy, you start.
I don't want to step on toes, but I might. What I see, and I've watched it kind of evolve, and it used to be that agents would say, oh, you know what, it's the holiday season. I'm going to take off the last 2 weeks of December. And then it became Thanksgiving. And now it's Halloween. The biggest opportunity is to finish strong the fourth quarter. A lot of agents, let's look at it this way. It's predicted 240,000 realtors may not renew next year. That's opportunity. That's opportunity. So if you have people that are not renewing their license, you still have buyers and sellers from now through the end of the year. The biggest opportunity is to continue to work. Do you need to have family time, vacation time, holiday time? Absolutely. But guys, don't stop working. Finish strong.
Kathy, I want to ask you a question back to that because I saw something the other day, and I could be wrong, but it was something I saw online, so take it with a grain of salt. But a lot of real estate professionals are actually saying that they do the majority of their transactions between September, October, and the end of the holiday season. And is that, obviously it's a case-by-case basis depending on the market, but I think it's, to your point, it's people capitalizing on the fact that other people are not doing transactions during that time. Yeah.
Right. And you have to factor into that seasonality. Like where the Carolinas, where I live, we're kind of coming out of season for that time. But Florida's going in. You've got Snowbirds going down and looking. So it's all about seasonality, but you still have buyers and sellers, and you still have opportunities. I mean, think about it. Most people's homes look better during the holidays than they do any other time.
Yep. That's a great point.
There's always going to be a need to have an eye on that opportunity too, because what you're marketing for yourself now and creating those relationships and working to get in front of people may not be right now or in the next 3 months. You're building a relationship, you're building your brand, you're building that awareness. Something can't come down the line where if the season does shift, they've got your name right in front of you. We had Luke from Reminder Media on an earlier episode, and he went through his program. And it talks about exactly that, as always being available and having those touches and staying in front of folks. So, I mean, looking into that, and I'm going to go back to Kathy on this, is long-term growth, long-term business building, making sure that you have everything planned out. When does it stop and when does it never end?
Yeah, I think to ask you another question on top of that, Kathy, is we're at the end of September, maybe early October by the time this episode gets published, and agents are already thinking about their business goals and plans for 2026, right? To Sivag's point, when is it cyclical effect where it should never really ever stop? Like you should have plans in motion for each time of the year. And when January 1st, 2026 hits, you were already preparing for that back in September, October of 25.
You have to. There's not a fifth quarter of the year.
Yeah.
So think about that. If you think about it like a football game or anything else, and if you're not putting things in the pipeline in the fourth quarter, you're not going to have a good Q1.
Right.
And it's always so senseless to me that agents say, you know what, I'm just going to rest for the last 5 to 6 weeks of the year, and I'm going to start out January strong. No, you can't do that. So it does have to be continuous. But the whole thing about this is don't hurt yourself achieving that. You need systems in place. And, James Clear always says you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fail or you fall to the level of your systems.
Yeah.
So you should have a system in place that's constantly touching, constantly saying, who do you know that I need to be talking with? Who do you know that may be listing or selling a house? Because those things that create movement, diapers, divorce, death, moving with a job, that happens 12 months a year.
Right. You brought up another point, and Sivag, I'm sure you have a question related to this, is the customer and like who the customer is right now, right? And in Sivag, we've talked about this a lot off camera, is it's only getting younger. The millennials and even the Gen Zers are becoming the largest portion of home buyers and sellers. And so then how do you shift your marketing efforts towards that client base? Because even for me, for example, who's right smack in the middle of like the millennial generation, marketing to a Gen Z person is a lot different than me marketing to a boomer or Gen X or whoever.
That's a good one. I always have said, and I carry this wisdom in my pants every day. When you're looking at any type of landscape in an environment, any type of business, you're always analyzing the audience and what is the makeup, what are the demographics of the audience, and how can you relate to each one. The mistake that I see a lot with any business owner, whether a real estate professional, owner of a brokerage, if they own an ice cream truck, they think one size fits all, one size messaging fits all. The approach, everything is the same. Oh, it will work for this person. Let me go out and do it and building reputation. Segment that out. I had a talk a couple of weeks ago with one of our owners, Peter, in Real Estate Group Next Level in New Hampshire, and we're going through his strategy and his approach. And he's got a really young base, and he's got a generational base, and he's making sure that he's covering all those segments and having the relative discussions with each one, and making sure each one has the experience. This is a really one group podcast, so I'm going to tout us. The culture is relative to each one of those core audiences. Same thing if you're a real estate professional and you're going out to different types of buyers. Each buyer has a different type of situation. Yeah. Financially, socially, economically, all the leads in there. You can put the popcorn in the microwave without burning half the bag. You can have a nice bag of popcorn if you just do it the right way and be thoughtful about it.
It's a good analogy.
I'm full of them.
A couple of things, and I'm going to go back to who is the audience. And yes, it is a multi-generational buyer right now, but keep in mind about 68% of the wealth in this country is controlled right now by the boomers. So I think that messaging should be, that how do I help the one that's pent up in an apartment and knows they're paying rent and know they're not getting ahead, that may or may not have a down payment, with the boomer that may be a parent, a grandparent, whatever, that could help orchestrate that. So the tentacles need to be deep and many. And the biggest mistake I'm seeing, and I'm going to go ahead and jump in there because this is becoming almost like a freaking pet peeve for me. And I don't want to step on toes. And I really want you guys to debate it because you're a different generation. But I'm seeing realtors confusing, which is just my opinion, confusing celebrity with celebration at the closing table. And I think that's fine as long as, back to your point, who and what are you marketing? And I'm seeing these talents with great articles. They're being followed by hundreds of thousands of people, but they're not sitting at the closing table. And I feel a responsibility to distinguish to the next generation. You got to blend that. And you've got to understand that an influencer is one thing. And if you're going to make money as an influencer, let's talk about how to do that. But if you're going to represent the real estate industry, how do I do that? How do I have those followers who end up being referrals, who end up helping me celebrate at the closing table?
So Kathy, I just want to kind of make sure I'm getting this right. You're saying, and I agree with you, there's a lot of fluff right now.
A lot of fluff.
And it's a lot of smoking mirrors, and you could be a real estate agent for one of the big, cool brokerages that are seen on Bravo TV, and you have 500,000 followers on social media. But are you actually a decent real estate professional? Are you actually going to get your clients what they want when they want it? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Right. Are you marketing a home, extraordinary service, or what is it? Because I watch a lot and I go, I'm not sure what we're selling here.
Well, I think you bring up a really, really good point. Like I said, I completely agree with you. And I want to kind of bring it back to the point that you said, where you said 68% of the wealth is held by the boomer generation. So let's assume that the majority of that 68% has a relationship with their children. And then that wealth, when they pass, their children would inherit it, right?
Put me on that trust fund.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly, all of us. But it's like
the name is Sivag, Sarkeesian.
But my question, Kathy, is don't you think that agents should be playing the super long game then and getting in with those families now?
That's my point.
Yeah.
My point is, the greatest gift I could give my grandchildren or my children now is to help them with home ownership.
Right.
I mean, that's a legacy plan.
It is.
So, and that was my point of, I get frustrated with statistics that say in 2024, the average seller was 63 years old. Well, and the average first time buyer was 38.
Right.
And I see realtors think, well, I don't even, first time buyers 38, maybe I don't even need to market to people in their 20s and early 30s. And I think, no, that's limited belief.
Yep.
And maybe I should only market to 60 plus. No, that's, other people are listing and selling. And my point of that is you need to have messaging and marketing that is reaching everybody for every opportunity.
I agree.
I'm going to touch on the social media aspect too, because what Kathy said is important. And we always say show your value and show how you can be a resource. And when I go through some of the trainings and coachings, and I'm talking to other folks in the industry, there is this thing of being a trend online, and they copycat. And then we say every real estate brokerage or every real estate agent wants to be different, which is why they all do the same exact thing, and they don't show a differentiation of what wins they can bring to the table for that person. Or if you're a brokerage wanting to invite a real estate professional into your office, showing them the value of what you provide and what you can help them get to the next level in their business.
Here, let me reframe it a little bit. As professionals, we need to make sure that we're representing a real estate transaction. Most people think it's an event, and a lot of social media and a lot of trendy things, even national advertising, make homeownership an event. And it is not. That was the first thing I always said when I went into a listing appointment was, let me ask you this, Mr. Seller. Do you think selling your home is an event or a process? And they would say, oh, it's an event. We're selling the house. And I would go, no, 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 no. It is a process.
Yeah.
Let me explain to you what that process is. Because a process can either be ease or elegance or blood and gore. And my job is to walk you through this experience and it be as easy and as elegant as possible. But we're gonna have some blood.
And you think you bring up another great point, Kathy, of the, especially in this, I think this is the first time anyone said the word AI on this episode, which is nuts, but especially in this like AI driven world that we're in, and it's obviously only going to get more and more that way. These future generations, they have a level and expectation of convenience unlike any of us talking right now can ever imagine. And so when you think about that, when they then become a homeowner or going to buy their first home, what's the first thing that they want in that process? They want convenience. They want it to be as fluid and simple and successful as possible without them having to lift a finger.
And a beer fridge.
Yeah, but it's like, and so then how do you, back to your point, Kathy, of like, you can be the most popular person with the most clout on social media, but are you actually making the process simpler?
And that's about systems.
And stop.
Yeah, I mean, you look at systems. And before we go too far, and I have an AI question or a topical thing here, but we always talk about and something that's generational too is referrals. And getting that referral saying, oh, my parents use this person, my relative uses this person, and then, or if you're going to do some sort of a shift of somebody's downsizing, if there's an unfortunate death, and that gets passed off to the next kin or whoever's in that trust fund, I'm still available. Referrals are the highest compliment you can receive from someone, even if it's from your mom.
Totally.
And it's not taking the light off of establishing, nurturing, maintaining existing relationships, not keeping, don't keep your eye off on developing new, but also taking a hold of what's there for you and taking that ownership, and don't release that market share, because we don't, looking transactionally, things are flat, which means you need to cut into that market share. And that is one of the biggest tactics that you could do. Ready for AI?
All right. So we've actually talked quite a bit, and I think this conversation needs to continue because I think there's a lot more questions that Sivag has and a lot more. I have a lot more to say. I know you do too, Kathy. So we're going to do this in a two-parter.
It's a 101 and a 102.
101 and a 102. So thank you for joining us for episode 101, and stay tuned for episode 102.